Hello, I am Harrison, and this is my co-host.
Michael.
Yeah, I love your enthusiasm, my guy. That was
Thank
so
you very much. Thank you.
enthusiastic, you
Thank you.
know?
Thank you. Thank you.
The best enthusiasm, confirmed, you know? Sounds so deadpan, you know? You're not as dead as me, my guy. You didn't go to EB Mun this weekend.
Oh, yes. Sorry about that, bro.
Ah, yeah, I should have gone. Anyways, let's see. Today there's been a lot of things that have happened, and I think that we gotta pay maybe 30 seconds of silence for poor friend George H.W. Bush and you know Steven Hillenburg, the creator of SpongeBob. So let us take about maybe let's take 10 seconds of silence starting now. All right, that has been 10 seconds of silence. We thank you for taking 10 seconds of silence with us to remember George H.W. Bush and Stephen Hillenburg. Now, I guess, since we're on that note, let's discuss the two of them, you know? So, George H.W. Bush, he is what president? What
The
number?
41st president.
That's right. Well, he is now dead. Um, he died on let's see, he died on November 30th, almost December 1st, man. And they have they said how he's died yet? Was it just old age or what?
Just old age, I think.
I see. Well, that just sucks for him. Um,
By 94, it's a pretty long life.
he's the oldest. He was the oldest living president in United States history, wasn't he? Like he lived the longest, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah. Um. Oh, apparently he died from Parkinson's.
Oh, that's kind of sad, honestly. But
Yeah.
old, old people, that's just kind of.
Yep. Um. That really sucks for him. Um. And well, what? Let's see. Um, I guess what we should talk about for right now is, well, his legacy as a president. I feel like, lots of people today don't really know about past presidents, and I think now is a better time than not to talk about someone who has contributed to the American society, America in some way, shape, or form, right? So I think so when I think about George W. Bush, or George H.W. Bush at least, right? I kind of think of the Gulf War, Saddam Hussein, and the end of communism, right?
Mm, yeah, he finished off Reagan's end goal with the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Yep. And let's see, and like personally, what I think is that like his foreign policy wasn't bad, right? Like he was able to win a war pretty fast.
Yeah,
And
well, against the Middle East, Western forces are basically
yeah, but
overkill.
that's still a pretty impressive amount of time to make a country surrender,
Yeah,
though, right? It was like what, 100 hours, I believe.
yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it accomplished its goal, so
Yeah. The thing that I remember like reading about though was that well he wasn't a great domestic policy person. Do you know like a lot more specifics about his domestic policy?
well, the biggest one that people remember about George H.W. Bush was that his campaign promise was read my lips, no like tax raises. But
Yep.
then he ended up raising taxes because when he looked at the budget, it was basically you had to raise or else the deficit would kind of balloon even more.
Yeah. And like well people don't like that for sure.
Yeah, but like, I mean, it is in a sense sound fiscal policy.
Yes. Um I think that well let's see, having George H.W. Bush die is a great loss to the nation, you know. He let's see, he did a lot of things, and I think that they were, they were good, at least for like the Iraq War and and the collapse of the Soviet Union. I mean, like I think those things
The
were.
Persian Gulf War, you mean the Iraq War
Sorry.
is the boondoggle that
Oh,
Bush
yes.
Jr. got
Sorry.
us
Sorry
into.
about that. Wrong war. Yes. Um, let's see. Um, but yeah, I feel like that was I feel like those things were good. He also did some education reforms as well. Um, let's see, and I think that's also a good thing. 'Cause he did the let's see, Education Excellence Act of 1989. Let's see, series of programs of legislation proposal with the intent of achieving a better educated America. And yeah, let's see, it's a good thing. Um, what else has he done? Let's see. Um,
He was probably the last president, well, given until like now, to nominate a Supreme Court justice whose political views diverge from his own.
oh really?
Yeah, David Soder.
Mm, that's a pretty good thing. Like, or at least showing some partisanship. I think that's the word to
Yeah, I
describe
mean, you
that.
mean like being nonpartisan.
Yeah, nonpartisan. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just really tired right now, man. After today, that was exhausting. I'm not gonna lie.
Uh,
So much debate. Um, yeah. So, I think let's see. Oh, he also did NAFTA apparently.
and after that, that's a great thing, but like Trump is now.
But Trump also like redid that, from what I can.
Yeah,
Like he just.
it's like NAFTA sucks, but like it actually doesn't.
Hmm. Anyways, yes. I think it's quite sad that he's now dead. Anyways, knowing that, let's see. I think we'll go on to our next person who has died this week, Stephen Hillenburg. Now, Stephen Hillenburg, I know, is probably one of the most famous guys that no, let's see, that have ever lived in like cartoons, creating that legendary cartoon of a sponge underneath the sea with let's see, living in a pineapple, you know?
Yeah, SpongeBob SquarePants.
And well, I feel like it's quite sad that he's now gone, you know. He parent I know that he was recently working on some like episodes of SpongeBob, and it kind of sucks to see that like the original creator of the show is now gone. After how many years has it been? Because SpongeBob was what, 1999, I believe.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of
It's
people like
it's it's almost been a
watched SpongeBob as they grew up. So
yeah. It's kind of sad to see someone like that go away.
yeah,
Let me check when SpongeBob was actually made. 1999, yeah. Right. So it's almost been an entire decade. Um, yeah,
I mean
so,
2 decades.
oh, sorry, yeah, 2 decades. What am I saying? Oh, no. Um, anyways, yeah, did you think that, what'd you think about, like, the death of Steve Hillenberg?
I mean, it's always sad to see like creators die, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially when like there's stuff that they were working on. There's always like this sense, oh, what are they gonna come up with next, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like you can see like the legacy they leave behind, like SpongeBob. People still watch it, right? And that's like a great thing, I think.
Hmm. I think it's, it's quite sad to see that happen. Yeah, he's definitely left a lasting legacy on Nickelodeon, and, it's, I think that, well, it's just gonna be something very sad, and I don't think that it's wait I, I can't get my words together. Holy moly! Uh, but yeah, I don't think that it's going to be the same without him, to be honest. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's see. I guess we'll go talk to some more recent news. I think that first of all, before we like start everything off, uh, you know, UC Berkeley loses the big game against Stanford. Big sad right now.
I mean, like, was that actually like not expected? It was like so expected though, but like Berkeley's trash compared to Stanford.
well, I mean, like they still won a decent amount of times against Stanford, but
Yeah, but
like
like,
this is
how
the
many times
ninth
have they
year in a
lost a
row.
big game in a row now? It's like over 10 times.
It's 9 times in a row. This is the ninth time
Oh,
that
it's
they've
like it's
lost.
getting close. It's getting close.
Yep, feels bad. Um, let's see. This is a this is a big rip for the Bears. You know, I what's it called? The reason I found out about this was that I was in Munn, and then some guy comes in the door and during our committee session and says, "Oh yeah, they lost. Let's see, Cal lost the big game," and our chair went, "Oh no." So I looked it up and it was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. Um,
Yeah, I mean, they got their rivalry going on, but like Stanford's won quite a few more times than Berkeley has.
mm, yep, yep. Poor Berkeley. You know, oh, Stanford always beating them to everything. The only thing that Berkeley has better is a mascot.
I mean, when your mascot's like a tree,
Yeah, when guess
kind
that
kind of kind of hard to like.
I guess that's why Stanford likes keeping the axe, you know, so that so that Berkeley can't chop them down. Hey.
Uh,
Okay. Well, I guess going off to something small like that, let's go to a bigger topic. Let's go to the G20. Um, so Michael, how about you go explain this to the viewer what G20 is?
I mean, G20 is just the annual gathering of the 20 largest economies in the world,
Yep.
and you see the usual big players like the U.S., China, France, Britain, Germany. There's also others, Saudi Arabia, Russia. They're all there.
And where did it take place this year?
Argentina, Buenos Aires.
All right, all right. Let's see. So, I know the big thing that came out of this was that the U.S. and the Chinese had a trade truce. And what are your thoughts about that trade truce?
Well, I mean, the market is reacting very favorably to it, both in the US and in Asia. So, and I mean, it's a good thing for the economy overall. Like, tariffs don't have never really helped much.
Yes, yes. Um,
Honestly, it
let's
wasn't
see.
bad because like China still had to give some concessions in order to get the trade truce,
Mm,
which is good because I mean, like China's trade practices could use improvement.
yeah, I mean, like, well, like, China's run by Asians, right? And I mean, like, I'm not trying to be like racist or anything, but like, being an Asian myself, you know, a lot of Asians that I've known also are like very, very cheap. So, I mean, like, that could be leading to like all those shady practices, trying to avoid regulation
Eh,
and everything.
nah, this is more of a communist government issue where they want to regulate the economy.
Mm. Well, I mean, like, it could also be that too, but might be on a smaller scale. Um, yeah. Overall, like, G20 still isn't going on, right? It just ended, if I remember
Yeah, it
correctly.
just ended.
And what are your thoughts about the G20? Do you think it was successful, a failure, or what?
I mean, it wasn't the worst one, but you can still see that there's like this clear gap with between the U.S. and like the other countries
Mm.
there,
Yeah, 'cause
especially with that the last part of it where everyone but the U.S. signed an agreement to address climate change.
mm, yeah, unfortunately, I mean, like, when even Jinping is like agreeing to climate change deals, right? You realize that Trump is like the one guy who's like, oh,
Trump is
kind
the
of,
one guy who's saying that like, you know, this is like some of the coldest days on record are gonna happen soon, so climate change ain't real, guys.
yeah, but I don't know. I feel like a cold day doesn't necessarily mean anything in the bigger context of things, right?
Yeah, but I mean, Trump doesn't know that, so
Yeah, I really think, and like, I don't know. I mean, like, just to like all those like, let's see, all those people who like don't like believe in climate change who are listening to this podcast, right? I mean, my opinion, I mean, like I'm conservative, right? But I still like support, like, let's see, climate change. Um, let's see, what's it called? I still support like things to prevent climate change, just because it's well, just because I think that we live on this earth,
It's
right? And
established
we should
science.
take best care of the earth as best as possible. Like even if you don't think that, right? You should still just try to take care of the best care of Earth, right?
Yeah, but like if you go around to like some of those places, like I went to like I drove past like the Rust Belt in Pennsylvania, right? And you'll see like this poster board out there that says on like coal is good for the environment.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's a good thing. I really do not think so. That is probably a very bad thing for the environment, but yeah. Um, let's see. I guess that's all we really need to talk about for G20, right? It was just a bunch of economic deals and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I mean you can tell that like the Saudi prince was kind of isolated there, but I
Oh,
mean
after
what
Khashoggi, yeah.
yeah, but like everyone already kind of knew that.
Yep. Um, let's see. Let's go with something else, I guess. I guess, remember how Apple was the most valuable company in the world, and uh, and then Amazon was, right? Now Microsoft's the most valuable company in the world, and I'm just wondering, like, well, what do you think about Microsoft becoming the king now?
I mean, it's honestly not the most unexpected thing in the world. Microsoft used to be one of the most valuable companies in the world too.
It
And
was the most valuable company in the world
yeah,
till
now it's just
2010.
back up to it, right?
Yep.
I mean, you can tell that like they like their business nowadays is like a lot. They've modernized their business like practices a lot.
Yeah, and they've at least invested in smart places like cloud computing, right?
Yeah,
And they've been trying to, and they just got a new, they probably just got that new jump because they just got a military contract for
yeah, a
augmented
big
reality
one
headsets.
with a yeah, a big one with a
Yeah. But that, I think what really makes me think about it is like, well, let's see, a lot of these like other tech companies have had to fall down in value to get that because Apple was the first trillion-dollar company, Amazon was a trillion-dollar company, and now they're below Microsoft, who sits at a currently 851 billion, right?
I mean, just like the money value, it doesn't like say like you're the most valuable or like you're not the most valuable, right? There's other parts to it too. Like how's your like overall like prospects doing too, right?
Yeah. And I think out of all of them, it's probably Amazon and Microsoft probably have the best prospects. Apple so far I feel like is falling behind with their prospects, but I think both um, let's see, Amazon and Apple, Amazon and Microsoft have the best prospect. Although Amazon might be in a little bit of trouble coming up soon because there could be possible like antitrust regulation against them, given how much like control they have over
Actually, that's like applies to a lot of the Silicon Valley tech companies.
yeah, I mean, like Apple, I don't think has that. I don't think they'll ever be antitrusted. Besides, maybe for the App Store.
Yeah, they might be antitrust. There might be antitrust for App Store. And if it really gets down to it, like maybe for propriety stuff, I think they're starting to ditch that anyway.
Yeah.
So
The other thing, what was something? Google could be antitrusted for sure. Holy moly! That I mean, like, I would not be surprised if that place was antitrusted.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean the
Let's see.
EU already antitrusted them. So
Oh yeah, that's right. How are they even? Do they just need to pay a fine? Are they not breaking up or anything?
no, they just have to pay fines. And like now, like on Android, Google can't force companies to like install the Play Store and stuff.
Oh yeah, but then it just makes phones even more expensive for everybody else, so it really doesn't make any sense. Like you actually just make it worse for the consumer.
No, it depends on the phone. Like some phones, like if you add the Play Store, like it only costs like what, maybe like $4 or $5. Other phones like $50. I think it just depends on like the
Yeah,
company
but
and the
for
model.
most users it's gonna be cheaper because most users don't know how to install an APK.
Oh yeah, but I mean like those costs are probably just gonna be absorbed into like the overall purchase of the phone. So most people aren't gonna really notice it.
Yeah. You see? Oh man, I feel like falling asleep already. I love a long day.
Right.
Um, I guess, let's see. I guess from that, let's see, we have some topics that you've added here. Michael Cohen pleads guilty to lying to Congress about Trump-Russia contact. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, this whole thing is like, it sounds like there's like even more suspicious shit going on. Because Michael Cohen originally told Congress that Trump had no idea about any contacts between the Trump organization and Russia during the campaign in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's saying that he lied. That was him lying.
Wow. That is not a good thing for the Trump administration.
And
Um,
of course, like Trump's response doesn't really make it seem any better because he called Cohen a weak man and a liar trying to get a reduced sentence.
yeah, no. I wouldn't believe him on that one for sure. 'Cause, I really wouldn't believe the defendant on something like that. So,
Yeah, because like sources are saying that like Mueller has like other like sources like corroborating like Cohen saying that he was lying there. So just calling Cohen a liar doesn't like make you right anymore.
I think that, what's it called? I think it's shaping up to look like Trump was, actually contacting some Russian officials, right?
Yeah,
Just
honestly,
based
it
on the
looks like it,
investigation.
especially with the news about like how he was trying to build a hotel in Russia.
Yeah, but I think that, let's see. I I think I think right now it'd be a pretty interesting time to think about like, well, what happens like it, I think that it's getting more and more likely that like the Mueller investigation is going to find Trump colluding with Russia, right? And so, let's see. I just want to like ask your opinion right now. It's like, well, what do you think about this about what happens if the Mueller investigation reveals that that Trump was actually contacting Russia? Do you think it'll be another like Watergate? Do you think it'll be like something that will kind of go underneath the radar or what?
I mean, well, given that the Democrats have taken over House, Mueller's ultimate report will probably be made public. Well, okay, that definitely
It's
will
going to
be
be
made
made public
public.
no matter
Yeah,
what.
and like depending on how hard it is, we'll probably see. Okay, so Democrats could definitely force the impeachment vote through the House. So the only question here is if like around 20 Republicans are willing to break and vote for impeachment in that case.
Um, well, there's moderate Republicans, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Yeah, but so like right now you can see that like there's still a lot of them who think that like oh Mueller is just a witch hunt, and some of the people who like won or like kept their seats in the recent midterm elections kind of owe it to Trump going to their state and helping campaign for them, which might color their actions a bit.
Yes, it will depend though. We'll have to see. Cause I mean like as we saw in the
I think
Kavanaugh.
like if the evidence is like outrageous enough, they'll vote for it, if only to like stop the GOP from politically self-destructing.
Yeah, and I think like one of the things too is that like I think that like we'll have this. I think it'll just be like on personal like ideals as well, because we saw in like the Kavanaugh hearing too that we had senators switch sides, right? So
Yeah.
that could also happen. I wouldn't be surprised if like Trump would be impeached in that case. I think it'd be pretty interesting. But then again, I feel like Mike Pence would be a worse president compared to Trump.
Yeah.
I really think
We
they'd
don't
be.
know. Mike Pence might also be involved in the whole thing. He might be indicted
We'll have to
too.
wait till the Mueller investigation comes out for sure on
Yeah.
that one. But I definitely think that it's going to be a very contentious thing. Do you know
Yeah.
when that's going to be coming, like the report?
I mean, Mueller is a very silent, like pretty silent, so it'll come out when he's done and when he wants it to come out.
Why should that come out after Trump is voted out of office in 2020?
I mean, honestly, like politically speaking, that would be better because then you don't run into the problems of like, oh, how are we gonna prosecute a sitting president of the U.S. Right?
Mm, yes.
Because once he's no longer president, you don't have to do impeachment or any of that stuff. You could just drag him into federal court.
Mm. All right. Um, let's see. Okay, let's. How about you introduce the next part one? I think it's a fraud allegation, something like that.
Oh yes, in the County, that's in North Carolina, there's a House race where the North Carolina Board of Elections is refusing to certify the House race in favor of the Republican because of fraud allegations.
Mm.
Yeah, so the whole thing's very suspicious. So he won by around 930 votes against the Democrat, but like there's like how do you say it? I don't know how to the specifics, but basically there's a lot of reports and some people have already like sent sworn statements in that there were people going to predominantly elderly and black areas and like asking for their absentee ballots to turn in for them. There was someone who said that like she only filled out like two people on the absentee ballot, right? And some person was like, okay, the rest aren't important. Like I'll turn it in for you. I'm like, okay, so that voter will send that voter handed over to him. So that voter is like, you could say like kind of stupid, but that's also like clearly illegal on the part of the other person to just take someone else's absentee ballot,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
Because then they could also check the other boxes for them when they wouldn't know either.
Let's see. Is this some? Let's see. Was this Republican doing or Democrat doing or what?
If well, since it's targeting like elderly and black areas, I would say it's Republican. This person like there's also like allegations of fraud in the Republican primary, where the guy who's currently leading the Republican person won kind of suspiciously against the incumbent Republican. Yeah.
Hmm. Well then, do you know when? Let's see. Do you know when they have to like certify this election or not?
And they're supposed to certify it by like December something, I believe.
Hmm.
Otherwise, they might have to call a new election if the Board of Elections finds that the fraud allegations are serious enough that they could sway the race.
I think they could, honestly. If it's 930 votes, right?
Yeah.
It definitely could sway the race with that little number.
Given how blatant those people were, like given like when you listen to the sworn statements, it's like, wow.
All right. Well, let's see. I think that now we should probably take a little bit of a break from what's it called? From some more intense topics like that, and let's go to something a little bit smaller, I guess, right? And let's see, Marriott hack hits 500 million guests. Do you know about this Marriott hack?
Yeah, I heard about it. This Marriott Star Wars guests all got hacked and like stuff like passport info was stolen, I believe.
Yes. And I don't know why the Marriott keeps passport info on you, but like that's kind of weird.
Honestly, like this is like ideal for like identity theft.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, let's see. It's kind of scary to think though that like the cybersecurity at a hotel chain like this is like is so poor that 500 million people's data was stolen.
Yeah, honestly, but like when you look at it, that's true for like a lot of companies. Like they don't want to invest the money into like decent like IT, like cybersecurity and stuff because it's just a drain on money. And they're like, oh, we're not gonna get hacked, so like, and if we get hacked, like, who cares?
Well, part of it also is that people are always going to get around that system, no matter what you do, right? It might just
Yeah,
take
but
a
like
shorter
if you
time or a longer
spend more, I
time.
mean, if you invest more money into it, it makes it harder, right? It deters them from trying to go after you.
Yep. I still think it's a disappointment though that they freaking lost 500 million gas data to hackers,
I mean,
right?
like, like just like a bit of data on like, oh, like he stayed here, he stayed there, right? That's not like the worst deal. Like, it's still invasion of privacy, right? But I
Yeah.
mean, like, why is like passport info being saved on there?
And then there's also going to be credit card info on there as well because you need to
Yeah,
pay for rooms. Like that's pretty scary, I'm not gonna lie. Uh, let's see. I mean, do you think this will like affect the Marriott's reputation by a large margin or something? Do you think people will like be staying at the Marriott less because of
I
stuff
think
like
most
this?
people don't know about things like data breaches because a lot of people are technologically illiterate. Let's just
Mm,
say. I mean, like I think the only real way to like like get companies like to actually act about this is to like actually make the fines big enough to hurt them.
yes. That that doesn't surprise me at all, to be honest. I really feel sorry for all those guests that got their data stolen though.
Yeah, same here. Like they should like lock their credit cards and like get their passport changed ASAP.
Oh yeah, that's not a good thing. Like, but I feel like the poor passport holders are gonna be overwhelmed. People just start coming in with that. Um. Anyways, let's. I think we'll move on from that topic, and let's see. What's something else that's pretty small? Ah, yes. Starbucks bans porn on their Wi-Fi. Hey. Now, I gotta say that that's like probably one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Didn't they? They said they were gonna do this like 4 years ago, and they still haven't done it.
Yeah, like honestly, like schools have been banning porn on Wi-Fi since like Wi-Fi existed in schools. But like Starbucks is just getting around to it. But like
Yeah.
the bigger question is who's watching Wi-Fi, like who's watching porn on Starbucks Wi-Fi
You
at
know,
a Starbucks?
it's probably one of those guys who just goes into the bathroom, right? Gets out his phone, right? Starts watching it in the stall, right? And it's like, oh yeah, does his
Okay, I think
business,
that's a
right?
bit too much information. That's a bit too much information.
Honestly,
But honestly, like this is like kind of sick. Like if you're gonna watch porn, do it like
do it in the privacy of your own home, please. Do not do it out there, right?
yeah. But like honestly, Starbucks like IT must suck to not like be able to ban porn until now.
Oh, yeah. Good things they are, though, at least. That's the good thing.
Yeah, finally getting around to it. Well, better late than never.
Ben Shapiro will be happy.
I think a
Um,
lot of people will be happy.
yeah. What else is there? Alex Acosta accused of breaking the law and negotiating pleas agreement with Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know anything about this topic. Would you care to explain it?
Right. So Alex Acosta is currently a part of Donald Trump's cabinet, right?
Yes.
He used to be Miami's federal prosecutor. And during that time, this is like in 2007, he negotiated this extremely lax plea deal with Jeffrey Epstein, a serial sex abuser, where the dude basically pleaded to what two like prostitution charges and got 13 months in prison. Like he like based on like the what he did, he could have gotten life in prison.
Mm. So basically, Alex Acosta was just accused of breaking that law, then, right? Of giving him like
Yeah,
preferential treatment, I guess, right?
yeah, basically. And now some of the former victims are suing him for it.
Mm. Do you think that Acosta will lose, win this case, or what?
Honestly, I'm not too sure about this. Like, I hope he loses because, like, when you look at what Jeffrey Epstein did, he was like pretty scumbag and disgusting behavior.
Mm. Yes,
Like,
yeah.
he was basically looking for like vulnerable underage girls who people like would not care about if something happened to them, and then like basically like bribe them to have sex with them.
All right. Interesting. Let's see.
Trump administration hiring the best people.
Yep. Let's see. What else was there? Trump's judicial nominee Thomas Farr confirmation sunk as well. What is this
Right.
for?
Oh yeah, this was one of Trump's judicial nominees, one of his more controversial ones, because he was a part of some stuff related to potential voter suppression efforts in the South.
Oh, would this be in like Georgia and stuff, or?
Yeah, stuff about like voter ID requirements that were basically designed to like block black people from voting.
Mm, interesting, interesting. Um, let's see.
Yeah, and
Let's.
it got sunk because of Flake refusing to confirm any nominees until he gets a Mueller protection bill to vote in the Senate, and also because the lone black Republican senator said he would vote against.
Mm, all right, interesting. Um, yeah. What do you think about that, though? Do you think it's a good thing, bad thing, or
Yeah,
um?
honestly, I would say like it's a pretty good thing. I would like rather not have a guy on federal court who thinks that like making like laws, like voting laws that are specifically designed to like make it harder for certain groups to vote. Like, I don't think that's a good thing to have someone like that on the federal court.
But that is a good thing, I think. So yes. Yeah.
Like, you think that's a good thing or not?
No, no, I think it's a good thing that he's being sunk.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, no. Voter
Let's
suppression
see.
is always a bad thing, no matter what happens. Voter suppression is always a bad thing. Let's see. Well, okay, I think we'll come to a very interesting topic now. Scientists edits the genes of a baby to make them like perfect, basically, right? And
No, I think it was to get rid of a
it's
HIV immunity.
oh, oh, okay. So I don't know. I remember reading something about this, and I kind of forgot.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
like a Chinese scientist.
yeah, some Chinese guy. So I mean, like, I'm gonna ask you straight up, like right now. I think the main question for this is like, is this ethical or not, right? Is it ethical to edit genes of a baby? Right, click this, right? Do you think it's ethical?
Right now, I honestly would not say so because I mean, like CRISPR, right? It's not accurate yet. Like currently, it's like what 80, 90% accurate. I don't think that's like exactly good enough, especially when you haven't tested it yet.
Mm-hmm.
To like just use it straight up on a baby, it's just like I mean, like even if you're like, I mean, most things like you end up having to do like human trials, right? And when it comes down to it, like there'll be volunteers for that. But like you should like at least like do it on animals to like check it out first, right?
Mm-hmm. I definitely thought that that was very unethical in this case, just because, like, yeah, the baby doesn't really have any consent to do this, right?
Yeah. And plus, there's like no research into it yet, so you don't actually know like any of the potential consequences of doing it.
That is very true. That is very true. Um, let's see. Do you think that, like, with more testing, though, do you think this will be more ethical? Like, after they've tested it with other animals and, like, actually, like, hammered it down so it actually is effective, do you think it's a good thing in that case?
I mean, depending on the consequences, it could be a useful thing to have.
Mm. Let's see. I guess, but I mean, like, I'll just ask you a interesting question though. Like, let's see. I think one of the good things about like natural selection, at least, is that we're all like sort of different people, right? We're not ideal, right? And
Yeah.
and that helps us like actually live through different generations if say like a plague or something horrible happens, right? But with like this genetic modification, right, you could basically make everyone be almost exactly the same, and then everyone will die to like some disease or something like that because our genes like wouldn't have like any antibody to defend against it, right? If some new one just came up.
But that's why almost and everyone who works in genetics field is against like basically what this amounts to is eugenics.
Yep. It's quite scary to think about it, though I feel like people are gonna abuse it and try to use it.
But honestly, like our current technology is very far off from that.
Yeah, but like given this breakthrough, right, it could happen sometime in the near future.
Yeah, but like this breakthrough isn't, I don't think it's been confirmed to work yet. And
Yes,
even so, like there's only like what I think it was a pair of twins. That's not exactly big enough of a sample size, I believe, to really draw a conclusion one way or another.
yes,
And
that's very
even
true.
this only related to like what, like trying to make them immune to HIV. It
S-
doesn't do anything about like changing their appearance or any of that. That's what the end goal of eugenics is.
I'm also like the one thing I'm also quite surprised about in this thing is that like, well, the guy actually announced it to the world that this happened, because I feel like it's a
Yeah,
very bad idea to.
I'm pretty sure what he was doing was also kind of illegal, so I don't really know
Well,
why
it's
he did
China,
it.
right? So,
Now I'm pretty sure that I read somewhere that Chinese government arrested him.
oh, all right. Well, that's a different story then. Um, all right. Let's see. Let's take a little bit of a more fun topic. Red Dead Redemption 2's beta is released, and there's a controversy over the let's see, monetization scheme in the game already.
Red Dead Online, you mean? Red Dead Redemption 2 is already out.
Well, okay, it's Red Dead Redemption 2's online
Yeah.
beta. Yeah.
Okay, honestly, like the online economy is like completely broken, but For like when you look at video game companies, like the greed is honestly rather getting kind of outrageous.
That their profits are like actually insane these days, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and like they're basically trying to push like how far they can go with the whole like loot boxes and all those psychological things that they put in there to try and get you to spend money.
Yep. It's quite interesting to say the least. Uh, let's see. I haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2's online mode yet, but like seeing videos and stuff on it, I seen like prices for like weapons and stuff be like a third, a quarter, or even like let's see, 50% or even
Their
let's see, a
calculations
hundred
say that it would
percent.
take you hundreds of hours to like grind out for like one gun.
And I do not want to do that. That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
That literally sounds like Star Wars Battlefront 2, right?
Yeah, but honestly, like this is like just the overall trend that like games are headed, like AAA games are currently headed towards.
And it's kind of sad that it's going that way, to be honest.
Honestly, it's not that different from like the old corporations back in like the late 1800s and like early 1900s.
South Sea Company, Dutch East
I
India
mean,
Company.
honestly, like it's probably because video games are basically unregulated.
Yeah, they basically are. Although
And
they,
honestly, I think they should put some sort of
oh,
regulations
they
in
are
there.
regulating it. Belgium's already put imposed regulation,
Yeah,
and
but like you
some
really need like a bigger country. Like you need like either the US or like the entire EU to like put something out there so that they have to change it.
yeah, U.S. There's a bill going through Congress, I believe that's about regulating video game loot boxes. So
Well, we'll see if they manage to pass that or if the lobbyists get it. You know?
I wouldn't be surprised if it went either way, to be honest, because I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of those people in Congress have no idea what this is, right?
Yeah.
Um, let's see. I guess I guess we'll go back to one thing. The Israeli police recommend indicting Netanyahu for bribery. Um,
Uh,
why don't you explain that, Michael?
well, I mean, this is like the third time they're like recommending that he be indicted for bribery. He's the Israeli prime minister, if you don't know. And well, I mean, he survived this long, but I think a lot of people are wondering like just how long he can last, especially since like these are like pretty credible.
How much longer do you think he will last then?
I mean, it all honestly all depends on what the attorney general decides to do because it's up to him to like choose whether to indict him or not.
Attorney General of Israel?
Yeah, which is kind of like odd because like the attorney general is appointed by Netanyahu, but we'll see like if personal like political patronage or like the law is gonna win out in the end.
We'll really have to see.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Uh, what else is there? Um, let's see. I guess like one of the, let's see, we have three more topics to go, I think, right? It
Yeah.
is. Let's see. So Spain's far-right party wins seats for the first time in regional elections since Francisco Franco's dictatorship in the 70s. So, um, this is quite interesting because it's following a chain of far-right movements that have been rising up recently, right? Well, across Europe, there's been more far-right populism that's come up. You've seen it in Italy, Sweden, let's see, parts of Germany, right? Um, you've seen it in Brazil. You've seen it 2016 with Trump, right?
Yeah. Honestly, this is kind of like one of the more interesting cases because Spain has is so far been one of the few countries where like far right parties haven't really gained like a lot of momentum until now, I suppose.
Mm, yes, but I still think it's like quite a quite an interesting trend to see that a lot of people are moving towards the right. And I mean, like, I
Yeah,
think one of the more interesting things to see, like, why are they trending more to the right? Like, what's your opinion on that, to be honest?
I think with Spain and like they won seats in Andalusia, right? That's the Spanish region where they won the seats.
Hmm.
I think the issue is partly just like a protest vote because the area is suffering from high unemployment and it's also Spain's main arrival point for migrants from the Mediterranean.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's a very dangerous like thing. I mean, like, because the right normally campaigns on tighter borders, right, and more
Yeah,
and jobs for everyone. So it makes perfect sense for why they would vote in that case. I mean, like, I think in general, the reason why you've seen like a rise in far right populism in like anti-Muslim sentiment, right, is because of these migrant issues, right? I think that was like part of the thing. Um, like that was a lot of the reason why there was like a large rise in like a more right-wing conservative outlooks, right? And even and then it also has to do with like jobs as well. Brazil, there wasn't that many jobs, and you could see that a lot of people were discontent with the previous government and they wanted something new, so they chose Jair Bolsonaro, right? And I think that was also another reason for Donald Trump's win because he promised jobs.
yeah, like I mean, it's just the standard populist platform to like talk about, oh, I'll give you jobs, and then the whole railing against outsiders thing. It's like classic populism.
Mm,
I mean, I think that the issue is more that it's kind of hard to fulfill those promises.
yeah. Let's see here. What else? I guess for on our last two topics then, correct?
Yes.
Macron in crisis talks about Paris riots. Now, recently after the G20 summit, or like during the G20 summit, I believe there was riots in Paris while Macron was gone, right? And
Yeah.
basically they graffitied and like burned down a bunch of stuff, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, including the Arc de Triomphe.
Which is like one of the more famous landmarks in Paris, right?
Yes.
So, what do you think about like this anti-Macron sentiment? Like he was elected just 2 years ago on the promise that he would like be be really good for the French people, right?
I mean, not necessarily for French people, but more like enacting necessary reforms on the legal system to improve the economy. I mean, you
Mm,
could say he's been doing that. It's just that results have been a bit slow to show.
yes, for sure. Um, let's see. Do you think that like let's see, a 23% increase in fuel prices by Macron was a good idea or not?
No, because I mean, it's a regressive tax. Like cars are like one of those things that like the poor like rely on more, and they had to spend more of their income on. So honestly, if you wanted to like deal with this, like it would have been better to like tax like either corporations that are like producing like a lot of like carbon dioxide emissions and stuff, or like maybe a tax on the yeah, probably like you want to impose higher taxes on corporations that are emitting like greenhouse gas emissions because that's not a regressive tax, right?
Hmm. Jesus. I'm getting so tired right now. I think we should just move on to the last topic before I kind of like fall asleep in my chair, like Michael.
All right.
Um.
Well, if you're not really up to it, then like we could just always end it.
No, no. I'll go over the last topic.
All right.
It should be that not that long, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. So our last topic of the day, as we're at like 50 minutes right now, is that let's see. There was an earthquake in Alaska, 7.0 magnitude, right? And I think the second wave was like 6.8, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And it seemed pretty terrifying, it's with all that damage. So what do you think about this earthquake in Alaska? You think it's let's see, like, do you think it's over exaggerated in like the amount of damage it caused, or you think it's like or do you think it's just like kind of like nothing?
I don't think it's possible to exaggerate the damage from an earthquake, especially a 7.0 magnitude one.
I mean, like,
Like, a lot of stuff is gonna be destroyed.
yeah. Um,
So, I mean, and you can't just look at like the profit, right? The overall economy is gonna take a hit because like people are gonna have to like because daily business is gonna be disrupted as people try to rebuild and all that.
yep. Um, I'm just trying to think of some more topics, like more things to talk about for the Alaska thing, because like honestly, I cannot think straight anymore. Um,
Well, I would say that like yeah, it's kind of sad that like a lot of people died.
oh, did a lot of people die in that earthquake?
I'm pretty sure like I think 20 people died.
Yeah, you might want to look that up really quickly. Um, but yeah, if there were people who died, which I'm pretty sure there was, I feel give condolences to the family of those victims.
Yeah, it's never a nice thing to die from an earthquake.
Yep. Um, anyways, I think that will, let's see, cap off our podcast for today. Thank you for listening in to our podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show, and let's see, we'll see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.